progress in regards to talks with Mitch and how things are progressing this week?
Yeah, we're talking with all of them. So I mean, we have Mitch, we have Kasperi Kapanen, Andreas Janssen. So we're continuing to work away at that, and we'll keep all those details private. I mean, everything that's happened so far, that's what we've intended to do. So we've kept it all to ourselves, and I think that's what everyone's wanted. And out of respect for the process, we'll continue to do that.
Mitch is being vilified in some quarters, social media. I'm sure you're aware of that kind of stuff.
Not especially.
Well, some people are just worried about how greedy he might be, using those kinds of negative terms that you saw with William Nylander last year. Are you worried about his reputation and doing what's best for him?
For me, Mitch Marner's reputation is beyond reproach. I mean, he's played for our club for 3 years. He comes to the rink every day with the exact same attitude, great energy, loves hockey, loves playing in Toronto. He's a great member of the community, does a lot in the community. So I get that these matters become complex because the number of dollars that are in play, people hear them, whether they're factual or not, and they begin to draw certain conclusions about players and what their motives are. But I think when it comes to Mitch Marner, and even going back to William Nylander, I think anybody who's being negative about him is really way off, especially when you consider the type of person that he is and the type of character that he has and everything he's done for our organization, but also what he does in the community. So I would hope that people don't get that way, and I would encourage them not to be that way at all.
Are you getting... The clock's ticking though towards July 1st. Is there pressure with that looming?
I think the reality is, as I said at the end of the season, we of course would like to have all these done quickly, but if you look around all the other teams here, everyone is in a similar spot. There's nothing really getting done and nothing moving. Why that is, I'm not sure. I think it's just the sheer volume of restricted free agents and the uncertainty, with the salary cap and where it's at, and so I would expect in the coming week or so that there'll be some movement, and that's what we're hopeful for. And I don't sense that there's any real pressure. We continue to do what's right for our organization and roll from there.
Well, the club's ability to draft and develop, is this a double-edged sword when you think as to how well they've been able to do over the last 5 and 6 years to find yourself in the situation you're in?
Well, I sure hope we can do better. So I think the scouting staff, a lot of the guys have been here for a long time. It was Dave Morrison, John Lilly, Ari Vori's been with the team now for a number of years. Tommy Bergman, of course, a staple in Sweden. And I think our player development staff, led by Scott Pellerin and Stefan Robida and Haley Wickenheiser, they've done great work with our guys, and I think it's very exciting to see that. And the two of those departments, and I know it's not always the case in sports, they really work closely together and in concert with one another. There's not that conflict between draft and develop. They draft them, then they work together to kind of know what their weaknesses are and make sure that everyone's on the same page when it comes to development.
Is it still your stance to match any offer sheet from Mitch if that does come out?
Well, I think it would. I mean, I think we're at the point now we could speak openly about it. I think it would really depend on any of the players. I mean, it's not just one guy. We've got a number of them, and if there were an offer sheet, we would look at what they are and what the compensation is for our team and make the decision based off of that. So I think they're all very important players for us, and so it's our intention that they're all here for as long as we can possibly keep them. But if the dollar amount doesn't make sense both in terms of our internal economics and the marketplace and the compensation is such, it's going to be a decision on our end as to what we do. So I wouldn't know one way or another without knowing more about where those are going to land if they happen. I have no idea. I can tell you we're not in a position to offer one. So what the other teams are thinking, I don't know. I mean, it's within the rules, and I know it gets bandied about, and it's kind of hanging over everything now. I don't think there's any fear in addressing it and speaking openly about it. And if it happens, it happens, and we'll go from there.
Has the fact that you won't automatically match an offer sheet for Mitch been communicated to his camp?
Pardon me?
You obviously are saying that you wouldn't automatically match an offer sheet if one was put on Marner. Does his camp know that?
Well, I was talking about all three of our guys, right?
But one of the three. So.
Sure. I mean, yeah. Either Mitch, Kasperi, and Andreas Janssen. Those are the three key restricted free agents that we have, and I think it's been clear to all. It's going to depend on where they're at, right? Where they fit in our internal economics and so on and so forth. So. we'll see. I hope it doesn't ever come to that, and I hope we can all continue to work together, and we're appreciative of all their efforts so far, but I also don't think it benefits to shy away from the fact that may happen.
Do you think you'd have all 3 signed by July 1st?
Oh, I don't know. Time will tell.
How difficult is this with not knowing exactly when the cap's going to?
I think we've kind of planned it out for a couple of scenarios, and so for us, where the cap ends up falling, Brandon Pridham's done a great job in preparing, how it's going to impact us. I don't sense at this point the variance is going to be massive, and so we just have to, keep in mind where things could fall, and then we'll determine how we proceed from there.
Is Calgary on the table?
Pardon me?
Is Calgary on the table?
No, I don't know. Define on the table.
Trade piece, because you have to get money from somewhere. I think
sure.
As attractive as contractors to you guys.
Yeah. Well, I think we have a lot of pieces on our team that other teams like, and on the one hand, you say, geez, it's a bit of a headache on the contract side, but on the other side of it, we're very fortunate to have these players and on our team with the amount of talent that we have. So for us, I would much rather have our dollars. I know it's kind of the topic of the year, the spring, or whatever, but I would rather, if we're going to pay our players, pay our top guys, and then force our staff to get creative around the edges of the team. And so Naz is an important player for us, and I think at the same time it's foolish to say somebody is 100% never going to be moved or anything like that, because different things change, and we have to be looking to make our team better. But it's our full intention that Naz is going to be on the team.
You mentioned the cap squeeze. Is there a way so that the league can do it so that we're not talking about what's the cap the day before the draft? Like, is there a better mechanism?
It's above my pay grade, Craig. I'm not exactly sure. So I think for us, they give you enough of an area where you can plan, and so it's never like I don't think we're going to wake up tomorrow or whenever we actually know and find out that it's vastly different from what they've told us. So we just try to plan within the range and go from there. I mean, it'd be great to be able to have as much information as far in advance as possible, but it's all good. I mean, we just try to take what we have and plan that way.
How about Zaitsev and Marleau? Any movement behind the scenes?
Not yet.
Conversations with other teams?
Well, I think there's lots of conversations on lots of different players. It's been very, very busy that way. I think it's probably been echoed by some of the others. I mean, certainly I only have last year and maybe 2015 as a real barometer, but certainly the most active of any of those years. And I think it's the uncertainty, the players unsigned, the salary cap, not going up as much as forecast. It all contributes to a lot of discussion. So it's interesting times.
Do you feel like you have to make a move to create cap space?
I think it'll depend on. That's up to Brandon to figure out. But I think we have cap space, but a lot of it is, I mean, in terms of the movement is tied up in trying to work with our restricted free agents, and I think it would be foolish to go and spend it elsewhere or artificially create it if we don't need it by depleting our roster, and that's not really fair to the other 20 guys on the team that are there to just create it, and then if we don't need it. And make our team less competitive, because that's not the stage that we're at. So I think we're trying to figure out where we're going to land and where we're going to be at, and proceed from there.
What kind of conversations have you had with Patrick just about what he wants to do?
With Patrick? Yeah, I mean, they've been very, very open since the end of the season, right? So I certainly understand their position and their situation, and he's done a lot of great work for us since the day he arrived here. So, we're trying to accommodate and help that, and mostly out of appreciation for everything that he's done for us since his arrival.
Are you saying he asked to be moved?
Pardon me?
Are you saying he's asked to be moved?
Patrick? Yeah. I think what we're trying to do is just accommodate, I think, a situation that's gone very public since the end of the year, right? So, I mean, all that said, I think if Patrick Marleau were back with the Toronto Maple Leafs at the beginning of next year, it wouldn't be a problem for Patrick. So I don't know if that answers your question specifically, but I think if there's a strong chance he'll be back next season.
Kyle, what was your impression of the changes to the video review in the GM meeting today?
I mean, it's obviously been a hot button topic, and I think they were very thorough in trying to go through it, make sure that they get it as right as possible. I think, like in every sport, there's always going to be another controversy, but I think the league deserves a lot of credit for trying to be proactive on it. There's nothing you can really do. I know a lot of them flared up in the playoffs. a few times on a few different occasions, and for them to have some solutions, a month or two after, it was pretty impressive, I thought. And I mean, there's always going to be something that's controversial. Sports that have extensive replay continue to have controversies. It's a very difficult game to referee. It's so fast and getting faster, and players skate faster, shoot harder, and so I think a lot of that gets put onto the referees, but it's difficult, and I think trying to expand that a little bit to help everybody out and make sure it gets right, that seems to be the intention of the league, and we're thankful for that.